What's up, Internet Land? Zachamus Prime, aka Zachamus Prime, here with a Transformers review. And the figure we're reviewing today is the Transformers Studio Series Longhaul. By the way, a quick little aside for you guys. I just want to let you know that my wife is currently upset at me because she's playing Harvest Moon and she named her character after me. And now she's really upset that he's seeing other chicks. And so, guys, think long and hard before you get married. Anyhow, Longhaul. This is...
He's gonna cheat on me.
What? What? I don't even know what's going on. Anyhow, so... This is the Studio Series take on Longhaul. So I used to have actually several, and I still have a few of them, of the Constructicons from the Revenge of the Fallen line, like 10 some odd years ago. And I thought that they were pretty decent figures. I liked the complexity and whatnot of the Revenge of the Fallen figures. And Longhaul was definitely one of my favorites. I liked a lot of stuff about it. I don't unfortunately have him on hand right now. But, I don't know. This guy doesn't really add up. One of the things that I didn't like about those figures is that they never actually combined. And I always felt that was like one of the purposes of having Constructicons was that they combined. And this guy, of course, does the combination thing. But I don't know. He just doesn't feel as good. He doesn't really look as good. And he doesn't, transform as good. And he doesn't, nothing is good. But we'll get into that, I guess. In terms of accessories, this guy comes with no accessories. What you see here is what you get. It's just this. He doesn't have any real gimmicks or anything either. Like, the other guy had these cool, flip-out blades from his arms and, little, piston stuff in his elbows and, this thing where you turn his head and this, little gear part in his chest turns with that. Stuff like that. It was a really cool figure with lots of cool little details. And this one doesn't have any of that. But yeah, let's get into his posability. So his head is on a ball joint. It's really, it's really deep in there, but it's not like a terrible ball joint. It feels like I've got some flash or something on that ball joint because it hangs up when I want to turn it particularly. The face sculpt, by the way, the face sculpt is actually really nice. It does the character really well. And even if you turn his head around, he's got sculpts and stuff on the back. Just lots of good surface detail all over it. But anyhow, he looks down and he looks up and he looks around. As I showed, he'll go side to side just a little bit. And so his head is a head. His arms actually have a fairly decent range of articulation if you ignore this big immovable chunk of kibble on it. So there he is all the way up. Anytime you want to move his shoulder, it actually moves his transformation joint, which really, really is frustrating. But his arm goes that far forward, that far back. He has a swivel at his elbow, about 90 degrees of bend at the elbow. No articulation whatsoever down here. He does have these little things here. I'm not sure if those are supposed to be like knuckle dusters or missiles. I don't know. I don't remember exactly what that... I don't remember that feature from the movie. Granted, I don't watch that movie very often because it's kind of a crap movie. And I don't know if that was a thing that was ever shown in the show. If anybody knows, go ahead and leave me a comment and tell me what a pleb I am for not watching Revenge of the Fallen all the time. He does have a waist joint, which is heavily ratcheted. It's funny because this waist joint is both stiff and like loose, like all at the same time, because it's got that heavy ratchet. It's loud and it's clicky. Of course, this turns into a joint for the Devastator, so it's got to be a fairly robust joint. But at the same time, like it just feels floppy. Like it's ratcheted heavily, but at the same time, it's like floppy. It's like I don't even know how that technology works, but it does. I mean, I know what's going on. It's got a gap in the teeth there between the ratchets, but it's just both tight and floppy all at the same time. Amazing. Truly a masterpiece. His leg goes forward. So if his waist wasn't, so this big old chunk of kibble right here, this big old chunk of leg smashes into his torso. If it didn't smash in, like if you twisted this out to the side, his leg would go like super far forward. But then you gotta like have his like weird kick like that, because you have to twist this to the side. If you don't twist it to the side, you get like that much range. To the back, if you move all this stuff out of the way, it gets like that much. If you don't move this out of the way, you get significantly less. He does have this thigh swivel right here, which is fairly decent. He also has a bend here at the leg, about 90 degrees, and a rotation at the just below the knee that is also for transformation. His toe moves. His toe actually moves a little too freely. Like it doesn't really want to peg on down here. It keeps on wants to slip out. Just because of the tolerance issues on this little pivot in here. And he's got an ankle tilt, a really deep ankle tilt. And that's it for this guy. So he'll do standing poses fairly well. He's not really gonna do like some kind of like a lunge or anything like that, because he's got a fair amount of joints, but he doesn't really have a lot of posability. These things are really hampered by this kibble here on his arm colliding with the stuff up here on his back, and there's just a lot of stuff on this figure that just all smashes in together, and it doesn't make for a very enjoyable figure, unfortunately. Like, it looks okay, but it's not necessarily fun to play with. So let's get him transformed up. So to do this, you're going to take his legs, put them like that. You're going to rotate these at the knee. They're going to peg together right there. And then these wheels are going to fold up and just kind of chunk into place. There's a little tab in here, and it's technically tabbing in, but not like really tabbing in. It's just kind of tabbing in. His arms, you're going to move this part out like that. This is going to flip around, unfold, slide up. And that's going to slide back in a little bit, but I'm not going to deal with that quite yet. Because what you want to do is you want to have his arm go from this position here to this position here, so that you can then rotate it at that joint that wants to move anyhow. No, I want to move this down first. Yes, move this down. These big old chunks right here are going to tab into these little slots right here. Get that tabbed in. Get all of that tabbed in. And so now what's going to happen is you're going to take and you're going to rotate this, and then this fist is going to come down and hold, like it's got like a little 5mm It's not really a real fist hole, but that's going to plug into this port here. But at the same time, you need to take and slide this little missile knuckle duster thing into this hole right here. And you kind of gotta like shove everything and move everything, and you'll end up getting in the wrong place a bunch of times till you finally end up getting it in the right place. And I think I almost have it. Yeah. Then you've got this tab right here. There's a slot on this tire. And there it goes. You're going to take this right here. This is going to kind of flip on down. And it's going to tab into there eventually, but we got to get to that in a bit. So same with the other arm. Take this out, flip it around, open that up, slide that. Bring the arm back. Turn it. Peg it into there. Kind of. Plug that in. Alright, and then you want to just kind of tab this all in. And if it looks like it doesn't fit very well, it is because it does not fit very well. This figure has got some major issues with the way things plug in the alt mode particularly. Most notably, I have been having, since I first got this figure, a lot of trouble getting these tabs to feel like they fit like they should. Like it always feels like it's bowing out here, and that these things are kind of really reaching to try and peg into these little tabs here. And it's just kind of unfortunate. There he is, more or less in his truck mode. And, of course, the first thing that you'll notice is that he's carrying around a couple of robot arms in the back of his truck. It's not nice like the one that came out 10 years ago was, you know, where it had like, not only was it, you know, flat on the back of the truck, but like you could also like take and dump it and whatnot. Like that was super cool. That was a really cool feature. And this one, of course, doesn't have anything like that. This is all physically connected up, and in fact, if you try to mess around with it, everything's going to become untabbed because this figure is inherently unstable. And I haven't been able to stabilize it. And so messing around with it too much undoes this tab, and it undoes that tab, and it undoes this tab, and it's just really kind of a mess. And that's really how I can sum up this figure, is that this figure is kind of a mess. Like, I mean, I got him because he's going to turn into a foot for Devastator, but other than that, like, there's no reason to have this figure whatsoever. If you really want a long haul and you're not worried about Devastator, absolutely go and pick up the one from 10 years ago. If you're making Devastator, then you're obligated to get this figure already. And so that's where my recommendation lies. If you're making Devastator, pick him up. You're not going to enjoy it, but you can pick him up anyhow. If you aren't making Devastator, avoid it. Anyhow, thanks everybody for watching. You guys are fantastic. Everybody stay awesome and be good to one another. See you later. Bye.